Hey everyone, I'm really excited to share this new video. The 2024 version of this video has been one of my most popular ones. Many people have requested me to create this video. I knew it was going to be a lot of work because it's going to be a pretty long video. So get ready, grab your popcorn, and let's get started. First of all, let's start with the disclaimer. I use the lazywim.org distribution, so everything here is compatible with that. So you may need to do a little bit of tweaking if you're using your own config. Notice here on the screen that there are some prerequisites that you need to cover. My entire setup, what we're going to be looking at right now, is in my GitHub repo. So you can grab the whole thing from there. And I even have a video in which I show you how to download it and test it on your computer. The video is the one shown here on the screen. If you don't want to watch that video, notice what I have here below. If you already have your own config and you just want to quickly get started, notice the command that is here, git clone. So you can run that. It's going to clone it directly to your .config directory. And then you can open my Neovim configuration using the command that is shown here below, the nvim app name command. If you want to as well, you can create an alias in your bashrc or cshrc file to run my configuration. That's something optional, but I just left the command down there of what you need to add in any of the two files. And then if you want to run my config, you just run the neobean command. If you don't add the alias, you will need to run this command every time you want to run my config. But if you add the alias, you will need to run this instead. Also, if you want to view images in Neovim, you will need to go through the requirements that I have in this video. I explain everything in detail. But if you don't worry about images right now, just skip this part. Also, like I mentioned, this is an update to the last year's video. Here it is. So if there are things that you don't understand or that I don't cover in depth in the current video, and I refer you to the old video, this is the one that you need to go and check. Also, if you like this video, you like my content, and you would like to support me, notice that I have a Ko-fi page. Notice what the goal that I have right now is. I want to upgrade my hardware. So if you want to donate, if you want to help, I would appreciate it very much. And I'm going to leave the link here. Also notice down here that if you have questions related to this video, if you need to troubleshoot, if you need support, or if you just want to talk to other community members, I have a Discord channel and I'm going to leave the information here. This is for YouTube community members only. So go and click on the link if you want to get more information. All right, so let's keep scrolling down here a little bit more. If you want to follow me on Twitter, the link is here. This guide, the one that I'm looking at, is not uploaded yet, but it will be. You will be able to find that in the video description. So all of the links, all of the videos, all of the commands will be on this guide. So just go to the video description and it's going to be there. Notice the section below. The stuff you'll see here is the stuff that I use as of today. I may have many additional keymaps in my keymaps.lua file. Some of them I don't use. So what I cover in this video are the things that I actually use every day. Where can you find all these files? If you already downloaded my Neovim configuration using the steps that I shared above, you will have all of them already. Otherwise, if you haven't downloaded that config, all of the files are in my .files. Notice that I left a link to my .files here. And remember that if you find useful information in my dots, just give them a star. And all of the information that you need to find is going to be in this keymaps.lua file in my dots. If, for example, I jump to a different file, let me go here to my .files latest directory. And let's say that I'm in this file. Notice that this is a different one. You will be able to find the path for each one of the files here at the very top of the screen. Here's the path, and here on the left-hand side is the name of the file. So that's the way that you need to find them in my .files as well. Okay, so let's go back to the guide then. And let's start with the first section, which is markdown tips. Notice that these are sorted by my personal preference, and the most preferred ones are going to be at the top. So those are the ones that I'm going to be starting with. Notice how my website looks. Every time that I mention a video, you're going to find a link to the video, but you will also find it embedded in the website, so you can click on it and view it there. I'm not going to be following the guide here in the website. I'm going to be following it in Neovim because I'm going to be demoing all this stuff. So let's jump there. The first option is this use snippets, and this is one of my favorite plugins. I use them for a lot of different things. For example, if I need to add one of my YouTube videos, notice that this is the first example that I have here. Just gonna go to the line below. I'm gonna type a semicolon, and I'm going to type YTMD. Notice that I have a lot of different videos there, and I'm going to type something here. IMG, this is the one that I want to add, image clip. So I'm just going to hit ctrl+y to accept this, and notice that this was added as a snippet. What else? Notice that I have also this other option here, add a code block. I'm going to go to the line below. I'm going to type a semicolon here, and I'm going to type here bash x, and I'm going to accept this with ctrl+y, notice that a code block was added. This already has some code example in it, but if I want to add an empty one, for example, I'm just going to type bash, ctrl+y, and you can type your bash code in here, right? So test code. If, for example, you want to add a different one, just going to type here semicolon, lua, for example. This is another code block. Just going to hit ctrl+y to accept it, and test code here, just as an example. Notice that I also use these to create a link from my URL that I have in the clipboard. I'm going to show you that in a little while. If you want to learn about snippets, how I set up everything, how I create my snippets, and how I do all this stuff, go and check this video out. I explain everything in detail. Notice the title for this video, Custom Snippets with luasnip. I also have another video that relates to this because the completion engine that I'm using right now is not nvim-cmp anymore, but it's now blink.cmp. So if you want to learn more about Blink, how to add a dictionary, how to add the emoji source, you can also go and check this other video. But remember, if you download my Neovim config, all of this is already part of it, so you don't need to do anything. You will be able to add the snippets the way that I'm adding them right now. Alright, so the next item on the list is to do items. This has been updated. Notice that I scratched all of these lines. This is the way that I did it last year, but now I do it this way. I used to do it with that to-do snippet, and I used to toggle items with leader TT, but that is not the case anymore. I do things differently. With this key map, Alt-L, that is the right Alt, and the letter L, I create a new task. I toggle the tasks with Alt-X. I list all the uncompleted tasks with leader TT. Leader is space in my case, and I list the completed tasks with leader TC. And to create tasks, I use the bullets.vim plugin. We're going to look at that in a little while as well. But just let me show you how to add a few tasks here. Okay, so I'm just going to go here to the line below, and I'm going to type here Alt-L. Notice that a new task was added, right? So I'm just going to type something here, task 1. Going to create another task below. Just hit enter, puts me on the task below. Task 2. Going to create another one down here, and task. So I have 3 tasks here. Okay, so I'm just going to mark this task as done. I'm going to type here Alt-X, and the task was removed from the screen. We don't see it anymore. Let me try it again with the next task here, Alt-X. Notice that it was marked completed. Pay attention to the bottom right corner. I'm going to mark this one. You're going to notice the message there, completed. Where did they go? If I go to the very bottom of the file, this section was created. If it does not exist, it will be automatically added here. And notice that all of the tasks are inside. Notice that they include the date in which they were completed. You can also include the time. This is configurable. And I'm going to untoggle this task, Alt-X. Notice that it was untoggled, Alt-X, Alt-X. I'm going to toggle one of them, this one, the task 1. And let me show you the other keymaps. You remember that we had leader TT. That shows me the tasks that are not completed. Notice that these 2 are not completed. This is just an example, so just ignore it. But these 2 are not completed. And if I want to list the completed tasks, leader TC, you're going to notice that this is the one that shows completed. This is opened in Telescope, which means that I can scroll through this file, and it's pretty nice. I get a preview. So if, for example, let's say that I'm at the very top of this file, or better yet, let's say that I'm at a different file. Let me jump to another one, this Apple file, and I'm just going to hit here, leader TT. I'm going to see which tasks are not done yet. Here is one, just going to hit enter. It's going to take me here. I can mark this as done, and I can also mark this as done. Leader TT again is going to show me that I don't have any tasks anymore. This is just an overview of the tasks. If you want to learn more, if you want to learn how to set all this up, I have a video and you'll be able to find it here. Moving on to the next item, skitty notes. I like keeping track of the things that I need to do here on the right hand side, as you can see. Notice that I have 3 tasks that I need to complete. Notice that this window is always visible. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I need to jump to it, I just type the right key on my keyboard. Notice here on my left hand side, just tap that, jumps to the skitty notes app, and I can create a new task, or I can mark the tasks that I have here as done. Like this one, for example, is done already. I already did this as well. And also remember to star my dotfiles. So I can mark this as done. I can remove this heading because it's not needed there anymore. And I have all of the tasks that I have completed in the last few days listed here. So that's just a small overview of what skitty notes is. I use it every day, not only for my videos, but for my personal tasks and also my work tasks. If you want a full tutorial on how to set up skitty notes, I have a video as well, and I'm going to leave a link to that video here, so you'll be able to find it in the blog post. Moving on to the next item, add images to the assets directory. What is this about? Let's say that I'm creating an article in my blog post, and I need to add an image here, right? So I'm just going to grab my mouse, and I'm going to take a screenshot. I'm going to screenshot my keyboard here. Just going to select this. That took a screenshot. Now I'm going to jump back to Ghosty here, to my terminal. And I'm going to add the image here. just going to type here Alt-1. Notice what is going to happen. It's going to ask me, is this a thumbnail image? Just going to type here, no. Just going to hit enter here. Enter the image name. I just typed this name, Markdown Demo. I'm going to hit enter here. And notice what is happening here. Put my cursor in here. I can add some caption for this image. Markdown YouTube demo, for example. Notice that the image was automatically added in this assets directory. I didn't have to do anything else. So what happens if I go to my blog post now and I hit refresh here? Let's see. Okay, I just refresh the page. I'm going to click on this section, add images to assets directory, and notice that the image is there. The quality is not good because this is really small, but I can take any screenshot that I want. If, for example, I want to add an additional one, I'm just going to take a screenshot of this entire section here. That took the screenshot. Just going to jump back to my terminal, and I'm going to add the image down here on the line below, Alt-1. Is it a thumbnail image? It's not, so I'm just going to hit enter here. Enter image name, sample image 1. That's the name that I want to give to it. Hit enter. The image was added, image test. And now, just going to save this. I'm going to jump back to my blog post. I'm just going to refresh the page here. And notice that the image was added right here below, really easily and really fast. What if, for example, I want to delete one of these images? Just going to come up here. I'm just going to type letter ID. It's going to ask me, do you want to delete the image file? Just going to hit enter here. The deletion failed using the trash application in macOS. If I want to try with the Unix rm command, just going to hit enter here. And notice that the image was deleted successfully. The image is gone there, so I can delete this section here. What if I also want to rename an image? If I want to change the name from this sample image 1 to something else, I have another keymap, letter I, capital R. It asks me to enter the new name. Just going to delete this part here, and I'm just going to type here new name. Gonna hit enter here. And notice that the name was changed. That's the name that I see right now, new name. What if I want to search through the different images that I have in the assets directory? Just gonna delete the image name here. And notice that blink is gonna kick in. Just gonna delete this and type it again. Here are all the different images that I have. AVIF, Club 80, Magic Keyboard. So let me add this one. Just gonna type here ctrl+y to accept this. That image was added. And notice that now I can see the image there. I have other keymaps here if I want to open the image in Finder, or if I want to open it in the preview app in macOS. This was just a small demo, but if you want to learn how this is done in detail, I have this video that is down here, so go and check it out. Moving on to the next item, create or jump to the daily notes with hyper-tr. I use this every day. Let me show you how. Just gonna type here hyper-tr. It doesn't matter where I'm at, it's always going to jump to my daily note. It's going to create a tmux session. And if it already exists, it's just going to switch to that tmux session. So what do I do here? Let me give you an example. Just going to add a snippet that I use all the time. I'm just going to type here, template. Notice that this template shows up. Going to hit ctrl+y to accept it. Notice that I can add the name of a video here, 2025 video, for example. Well, I can delete this part. And I use this as a template to upload my YouTube files. Let me show you what my other daily notes look like. Just going to hit space E. That is going to bring up mini.files. This is today's daily note, yesterday's. There was nothing there. Thursday, there's a video here that I uploaded. Wednesday, there's another video. Tuesday, there's another video. Saturday, there's another video as well. So you can use the daily notes as a diary, or you can use it as a scratch pad, however you want to use it. That requires a video on its own. So that's why I created this video, and I explain everything in detail there. Moving on to the next item, in case you're wondering what is that hyper-tr that I just pressed, it's because I have a lot of sublayers for my keymaps. T is for my tmux sessions, and A is to switch to my apps. So if, for example, I type hyper-AK, that jumps to my browser, hyper-AJ, that jumps to my terminal, hyper-AY jumps to YouTube, and if I want to go back to my terminal, hyper-AJ. If I want to switch between tmux sessions, it's with the letter T. So that is hyper-TJ switches to my dotfiles, hyper-TL switches to my blog post. Again, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be covered, so I created a separate video. Also notice down here that I switch between the tmux sessions using the Primeagen's tmux sessionizer script. I have a video for that, and I'm also going to leave a link in the blog post. Also, if you're on macOS, I also use the Better Touch Tool app. So this allows me to run keymaps from any app. So that means that I don't have to be in the terminal. I can be in my browser, for example. And if I type here hyper-tr, it's going to jump to my daily notes. It doesn't matter where I'm at. Again, that requires an additional video. You'll be able to find it here. This has been updated, the way that I fold my markdown headings. I used these keymaps in the past, but notice that this is striked. So the new way that I fold and unfold keymaps is with this. CJ is for level 1, CK is for level 2, CL for level 3, this is for level 4. What do I mean? I'm going to press here ZK and notice that I only see headings of level 2. Now I'm going to type ZL and I'm going to see headings of level 2 and level 3. So that's what I use these for. If I want to unfold everything, I just type ZU and that is going to unfold all the headings. I'm going to fold back everything to level 3. So that is ZL. And I'm in the heading that I was before. I also created a new key map, which is ZI. That is going to move to the heading that is above and fold it. So let's say that I'm here at the bottom of this heading and I want to fold it, just type CI and it does it. So I'm just going to unfold this and go back inside. So let's scroll down here a little bit more. This is a note, do not leave headings of the same level. This hasn't changed. I explained this in the previous video. And I also created a separate video in which I only talk about folds. So if you want to learn more about folds, go and check the video. It's going to be in the blog post as well. Also notice that there is this folding basics section. This comes from the last year as well. So in case you want to read a little bit more about folds, the information is going to be there. Okay, moving on to the next section, add markdown link from clipboard. These were the old key maps that I have. I don't use these anymore because they were not as reliable. So I have replaced those with luasnip snippets. These are the two snippets. So let me show you how they work. Let me go to my browser here. And let's say that I go to my dotfiles above. I'm going to type Alt-C and you're going to notice a message on the top right corner. Let's do that. The URL has been copied to the clipboard. Now if I jump back to my terminal and I want to paste this as a markdown link, I'm going to go to the link below. I'm going to type here, semicolon, link C, and I'm going to accept this. Notice what happened. The link was added and I can type the test here. I'm just going to type here dotfiles, for example. I also use the other one that you see there. Let me show you how that works. Just going to type here semicolon, link CEX. The link is still in my clipboard, so you have to make sure that it's there. Then I hit Ctrl+Y to accept this. And I'm just going to type the text here, dotfiles, next, for example, just to give you an idea, right? So you notice how easily I added the links as markdown in my document. Remember that this is done with luasnip. So if you don't have luasnip installed, if you don't know how it works, if you want to learn more, I have a video in which I go over how I created my different snippets. So go and check it out. It's going to be in the blog post as well. The next item on the list is to copy the current file to the clipboard. So notice what happens if I type here Alt-C. There's a message that shows up. The path was copied to the clipboard. Notice that this is useful in case that I need to reference a file from another file. Then I can open this link by pressing GX in Neovim. Let me demo this. Let me go to my .files latest directory. Notice that I'm in this plugin right now. I'm going to hit Alt-C, that copy the path to the clipboard. And now let me go to a completely different file. Just going to search for my files here. And let's say that, for example, I go to this blink file. Just going to open it. And let's say that I want to add this link here at the bottom. Just going to paste that there. Notice that I'm referencing that file here. Just have the path to that file. What if I quickly want to jump to that file? Just going to type here GX. You're going to notice that Neovim is going to be open. So I can scroll in this file and it's just like a regular file. Works just fine. I'm going to quit here out of Neovim. Notice what I have here. I use the same key map in mini.files. Let me jump back to my .files. Let me open mini.files and let me come back here to this config directory. I'm going to hit Alt-C. Notice that it says path copied to clipboard. So I'm going to bring up my clipboard manager here. You're going to notice that the path is showing up there. Let's try it with a different file. If we go back one level, and I'm going to do it on this neoconf.json, Alt-C, path copied to clipboard. I'm going to bring up the clipboard manager, and the path to the file is there. But notice that I also use the same key map in the Zen browser. I did that a moment ago. I jumped to the browser, and I type here Alt-C. You're going to notice that the URL has been copied to the clipboard. If you want to know how I do that in mini.files, I have a video. You're going to find it here. And if you want to learn more about the Zen browser, how I set it up, why I chose it, I also have a video, and I'm going to leave it in the blog post as well. The next item in the list, open the current file in GitHub on the browser. Let me jump to my .files real quick. Just going to close this, and I'm going to type here, letter F, capital G. You're going to notice what's going to happen. This file was opened in GitHub on my browser. Let's go back and try it with a different file. Let me search for a file here. And I'm going to open the CSHRC file, this one. And I'm going to do the same thing. Letter F, capital G. You're going to notice that it's going to open that file in the browser. This is the next item on the list. Sometimes you quickly need to toggle the terminal to run some commands or something. And I usually do this in my .files. Let me jump there real quick. And I'm just going to type here Alt-T. Notice what's going to happen. A terminal was open. And notice the path in which it was open is the same path where the file lives. Remember that you can see the path for this file here on the top right corner. Notice that I'm going to type the same thing again, Alt-T, and that is going to hide the terminal. Alt-T shows it, Alt-T hides it. And it's pretty fast. Notice that I'm just typing it, and it shows it and hides it. What happens if I switch to a different file? Let me go back to the previous file, blink.cmp. Notice that it's in a different path. And I'm going to type here Alt-T. Notice what happened. It automatically detected that I went to a different directory, and it switched me to that directory. Notice the path of the file, and also the cd command down there. So I'm just going to hit Alt-T to hide it, and we're back to normal. What you see at the bottom of the screen is a tmux pane, and it does require some setup. This is not going to work out of the box for my distribution. You need to set it up on your computer. But again, I have a video for that, and I go over everything in detail there. Here's the video. Go and check it out. How to jump to the alternate file. This is not strictly Markdown related, but it's going to improve your Markdown workflow because you usually switch between files and projects. So with liter space, I alternate between the last two buffers. Let me first open another file. I'm gonna open this Apple Watch file. Notice that I have two buffers open right now. You can see that on the top left corner here. I have two buffers. So I'm just going to hit here, liter space, switches to the alternate file. I'm going to do it again, liter space. So I'm switching between the last two files. And I do the same thing with my tmux sessions. I used to do it with ctrl+b space in the past, but now I just tap the left shift on my keyboard. Notice that here is on the left hand side. I'm just gonna type this key, and it switched to my .files latest. I'm gonna switch it again, and it switched back to the previous tmux session. If you wanna learn how I do this, I also have a dedicated video. You're gonna find it here. And if you wanna learn about the trick to tap only left shift and switch to the other tmux session, that is covered in a different video, which is the one shown here. You're gonna find it in the blog post as well. How to use the dictionary with blink.cmp. Notice that I'm going to start typing something here. Just gonna type here test. Notice that I get a list of words and I get the definition for this word. So this is what's called a dictionary. It's going to help you to avoid typos. So if you write a lot of Markdown, this is going to be really useful. Again, if you want to learn more about this, I have a video and I explain everything in detail in this blink.cmp updates video. So go and check it out. Spell checking. Notice at the bottom of my file in lualign, you're going to notice EN, which means that is set to English at the moment. I'm going to disable spelling, letter US. Spelling has been disabled. Notice that I had some words that were undercurled. I'm going to re-enable it again, letter US. Notice that this word in Spanish is undercurled. I created two different keymaps to switch the spelling languages to English and Spanish, or both of the languages if you want. Right now it's set to English. I'm going to type the keymap right now, letter MSLS. That switched it to Spanish. Notice all of the errors that it detects. Now I'm going to switch it to both. Letter MSLB. Notice that the Spanish word is not highlighted anymore. And at the bottom in lualign, you can see the two languages. To correct a word, I type letter MSS, and it's going to accept the first suggestion. That is what I want all the time. Again, I have a video in which I go over the setup for spell in detail. So go and check it out. The keymaps that I use the most have been configured with Alt. So for example, if I type here Alt-G, that is going to bring up lazy git. Just to give you an example, can I hit escape here to quit? So whatever I use the most is now done with Alt. And this is useful because it's less keystrokes. And there are some keymaps that I also need to run from insert mode. So this allows me to do that. I don't use the left Alt key for this. I use this one for something else. I only use the right Alt key for this. So if you want to configure that, you need to do it in your terminal. Since I use Ghosty, this is what I had to add to my Ghosty config. Notice that it's there. And if you want to learn more about Ghosty, why I switched, and how I set it up, I also have a video, and you're going to find it here. Remember that you won't probably need help because this configuration is a little bit complex. There's a lot of stuff going on. So in case that you want to troubleshoot, if you need assistance with any of this, join the YouTube members only Discord that I created. And I'm also going to leave the link here again. The Markdown table of contents. I changed the keymaps and I added a new option. Leader MTT creates the table of contents in English and leader MTS creates it in Spanish. And notice this update message here as well. Now the table of contents gets added inside an H2 and H3 heading right below the main H1 at the top. What do I mean by this? Let me jump to my Obsidian repo and I'm going to open one of the files, this test markdown file. And if I go to the very top of the file, you're going to notice that I have contents, table of contents, and this is where it was added. This is the heading 1. This will be added automatically, and this will also be added automatically. And the table of contents is here inside this H3 heading. I just did it this way because I like to keep things more organized. I also created another video regarding the table of contents. It's shown here, and I explain all of this in detail, so make sure to go and check it out. Moving on to the next item, sometimes you need to share an image, but through a link. So I created this keymap, alt-I. Notice that this script is going to upload the image to your own imgur account using an access token and refresh it if it's expired. It's going to read environment variables from a specific file and updates them as needed. Let me show you what this means. Let's say that, for example, I need to take a screenshot of my screen here. Just gonna select this part, screenshot this area, and I'm going to jump to my daily notes. And I'm going to type here Alt-I, and you're gonna notice some messages on the bottom right corner. You're gonna notice that the image is going to be uploaded. So let me do that right now. Alt-I. Notice that the image was uploaded. You get the link. So now you can share this link already. If I type here GX, that is going to take me to my browser. And notice that this is in my own account. How do I know that? Because I'm logged in right now. You can see that on the top right corner. And I can delete this post if I want to. If this was not your account, you wouldn't be able to delete it. Just gonna hit here, yes, and the image has been deleted. This is a process that requires a few steps. There's some stuff that you need to do to make this work. So again, I have a video and you'll be able to find it here. Notice this other tip, delete new lines in between. So this is just the join stuff. Sometimes this happens. You're writing something and you have a lot of paragraphs or a lot of bullet points that are not joined together. So I'm just gonna select the entire thing and I'm going to press here leader MJ. Notice what happened. They were joined together. So again, this is a keymap, leader MJ. This does not require a video. So go to my keymaps file and you'll be able to find it there. Toggle bullet point, leader MD. Notice what happened here below. This is a paragraph and I forgot to start it as a bullet point. So right now that I'm in normal mode, I'm just gonna type here leader MD. Notice what happened. It's a bullet point now. It's going to auto-save in a few seconds. It did. And I'm going to do the same thing down here, leader MD. I'm also going to do it here, leader MD. Created a bullet point. And now, for example, if I wanted to, I could join them, leader MJ, just to give you an idea. Okay, moving on to the next item. If you want to delete the current file, I do that with leader FD. So if, for example, I wanted to delete this file that I'm working on right now, I could type that, but I don't want to delete the file right now. But just so you keep it in mind, I don't use this too often, but it's just an option. I do use this one very often because you're going to forget your keymaps. So I used to do it in the past with leader SK, but too many keystrokes. So now I just type Alt K and it's going to show me all the keymaps. And I can search here, for example, Markdown, just to give you an idea. Notice the different keymaps that I have for Markdown, and I can choose one of these. I do use this as well quite a lot. It already comes by default in LazyVim, and it's related to all the messages that show up when you open Neovim or when you get an error or something. This is the default keymap, leader S and H, but I use this quite often. So I just remapped it to Alt H. So if I type here Alt H, notice that it shows here at the bottom, and I can close this little window with Q, I guess. Yeah, with Q. This one is regarding Blink. I do not accept completion items with Enter or Tab. I use ctrl+y. And the way that I change this is in the keymap section of the blink.cmp.lua file. So if I jump here to my dotfiles, I'm in the blink file here, and I'm in the keymap section here. So notice here the preset that I set, default. And this is not going to accept completions with Enter. You can choose different presets, up to you. If you want a bold text, this is still relevant, and I use it sometimes. So if, for example, I'm in a word and I press here leader MB, that is going to toggle it, make it bold. If I type here leader MB again, it's going to untoggle it. I can also do it in a paragraph in visual mode. So if I select this leader MB, notice that it bolded the entire thing. And if I'm on the first line here, I'm in normal mode and I type leader MB, it's going to unbold that entire paragraph. Inline code, I use this a lot. So if I want to turn this word into inline code, I'm just going to type here GSS. Notice that it did it for me. Just going to undo this. And I can also do it for a section that I select. So I'm just going to select a few words here, GSS. Notice that it did it as well. So that is the keymap that I created, GSS. Otherwise, if you don't want to create that keymap, you will need to do it here in visual mode, GSA, and then the backtick. Or if you want to do it for a word, you will need to do it this way. But it's too many characters. And since I do this often, I created this keymap. Remember that if you find useful information here, star my dotfiles. You'll be able to find the dotfiles here. Notice that we're at 367 stars at the moment. All of my configuration is stored there. If you want to jump between markdown headings, I still use this. I covered it in the previous video. If I type here GK, GJ to go down, GK to go up, and that is just going to switch between headings. So nothing changed here from the previous video. If you want to learn more about this, go and check that one out. Fold with enter. This is still the same. So notice that I'm pressing enter here on every fold and it's folding it or unfolding it. This is also the same compared to the previous video. Line wrapping at 80 characters. Nothing has changed there. So I would recommend you to go and check the other video if you have questions about this section. Disable auto formatting in certain sections. This is still the same as in the previous video, but the main difference is that I now have a luasnip snippet, as you can see here. Notice that it is striped, and this is the new way that I add this. So if I come down here and I type a semicolon and I type chirpy, notice that a snippet shows up. I'm just going to hit ctrl+y here, and all of this text was added. Just going to type here something, testing this. I'm going to hit tab here. It's going to jump to the next section, and I can type here info, for example. So I do this now with this luasnip snippet. Again, remember that I have a video, and the video is shown here. I'm going to leave a link there if you want to find out more about luasnip and how to use this snippet. But also, if you don't understand what disable auto formatting in certain sections mean, go and check the past video because I covered that in detail there. Add a file path to the current file. This hasn't changed at all. It's the same as in the previous video. The only thing that changed is the key map. Instead of Ctrl+Z, I use Alt-Z now. How does this work? If I come to this file, for example, I'm just going to delete what I had there on the top, and I just went into insert mode here. I'm going to type Alt-Z and notice what was added at the top of the file. And I do need that sometimes, so that's why I added there. Navigate the help pages. That's still the same, letter SH, and it brings up the help pages. You can search for stuff here. Paste with P in visual mode. This is the same as in the previous video. Nothing has changed there. Increase or decrease the markdown headings. This hasn't changed as well. Do not indent with tab. This is just a recommendation that I shared in the previous video. Open the current file in Finder. There is an update here. I opened the current file with forklift now instead of Finder because it's an explorer that I'm testing out. So if I type here letter FO, capital O, notice that the file was opened there in forklift. Or notice that you can also use Alt F and the same thing is going to happen. Remember that this is for Mac OS. If you're on Linux, you will need to modify the command. Dismiss all the messages. This is still the same as in the previous video. Sometimes when you log in or when you open Neovim, you're going to get thousands of messages on the screen. The only thing that changed was the key map. Instead of letter SND, I changed it to Alt-D. Paste the GitHub repo as a link. I used to do that with Ctrl+G. Now I do it with Alt semicolon. What is this used for? Let me jump here to this dotfiles. Just gonna copy the link, Alt-C, copied it to the clipboard. Gonna jump back here, gonna go to this line, Alt semicolon. Notice what happened. The GitHub repo was pasted as a link. This is still the same as in the previous video. I don't know why when I hit Control Space, it jumps to a markdown comment. So if you know, let me know down in the comments as well. This hasn't changed at all. Creating the headings and daily note. This is something that I covered in the previous video. I'm not doing it in my notes at the moment, but it's a good practice. If you want to link notes together, I think that you're going to find this really useful. If you want to learn more, remember, go and check the previous video. Working with marks. I have not used marks in the entire year, but I'm just going to leave this here as it's relevant information. But this is something that I discussed in the previous video as well. I'd like to know what plugins you use, and if you have any recommendations for plugins that I should try to improve my markdown workflow, just let me know down in the comments as well. That would help me a lot. And also I would like to know, what do you want to see next? What type of videos would you like me to make? So just leave that information down in the comments as well. In case that you're wondering what this keyboard is, it's a glove 80. I reviewed it a few days ago. You're gonna find the video here as well. It's basically a full tutorial on the glove 80. Now let me jump to the Markdown plugins section so we can see which plugins I use and which ones I don't use compared to the previous video. These are sorted by my personal preference. The most preferred ones are at the top. So if you like each one of the repos shown here, remember to give them a star. The first one on the list is this render-markdown.nvim. If you like the way that my files look Notice that the icons on each link are different. The colors of the headings are different. The code blocks have their respective icons as well, depending on the language that you're using, and many other things so that your Markdown documents look quite nice. This is the plugin that you're looking for. I also created a video for this plugin, and I go over the setup in this video. So you're going to find it here. Bullets, I still use this plugin a lot. The only update is that I use it for tasks now. So if I add a task here, and if I type something test, and if I hit enter, this is the plugin that is going to create the task below. So just keep that in mind if you want to work with tasks the way that I do. Mini.files is my favorite file explorer. The things that I like about it is that I can see a preview of the file. Notice that I have different files here, and I can get a preview on each one of them, and that's pretty useful. I can also navigate and I can manipulate files, like if I was in a Vim buffer. I also have a lot of advanced keymaps for this plugin. One of them, for example, allows me to copy an entire directory and send it to the system clipboard from mini.files. Then this file can be shared in other applications, like Slack or something, for example. So if you want to learn more about this plugin, I also have a video, and everything is explained here in detail. Mini.surround, this is the one that allows me to surround stuff, like in symbols, in quotes, inline code, a lot of different stuff. This hasn't changed since the last video, so go and check it out there. Mini.ai, this allows you to select stuff. So if I type here VIQ, notice that it selected the text inside the quotes. I can do the same thing here, VIQ, same thing. Or if I want to select the text in here, VIO, notice what happened. The entire code block was selected. All of this is covered in the previous video, so go and check it out there as well. Stay-centered hasn't changed. I still use this plugin a lot. Outline, I also use this plugin a lot with letter O. Brings up the outline so I can navigate or jump to different markdown headings. Letter O hides it again. I even have a dedicated video for this plugin as well. This one is not used anymore. Folky replaced it with the render-markdown.nvim plugin, which is the one that we have at the top of the list. This headlines plugin is the one that I used before for my markdown headings for the color, but that's not the case anymore. This plugin is used to search and replace. It allows you to do a lot of different stuff. Something that I really love about it is the multi-line search and replace. So you can search for entire paragraphs and replace them across multiple files. It has a lot of other features. I'm going to create a video on this soon, so stay tuned and also remember to subscribe. This one is not used anymore. This plugin was replaced, but the one that we have here by grug-far. I didn't take this call as well. This was something that Folky did. So if you're still using nvim-spectre, you should give this one a try, and I'm pretty sure you're going to love it. Auto-save, I still use this plugin every day, but I have some updates. I have increased the bounce delay. It was set to 750 milliseconds, but it was slowing me down because it was saving too often. I have increased it to 5 seconds now, and I'm going to see how it works. And I also configured it to save only when I leave a buffer or the focus is lost if I'm not in insert mode. So that's the condition. If I'm in insert mode, do not save, because that disrupts my workflow if I'm creating a tutorial or something. So notice here that I set the debounce delay to 5 seconds. And if for any reason I need to save, I created another keymap, Alt-W, and that saves the file automatically. Markdown preview, this is still the same. Leader MP opens the preview. I can print the file as a PDF. You can toggle dark or light mode. So I still use this plugin a lot. Image.nvim, I use this to view images in Neovim. Nothing has changed there. If you want to check the video on how I set it up, it's going to be included here. Image.clip.nvim, this is the plugin that I use to add them to the assets directory. So I do have some updates regarding this plugin, created the video, and remember that it's going to be included in the blog post. Buff Explorer, I don't use this plugin anymore. I now navigate my buffers in a different way. I do it using telescope buffers, so I sort them by most recently used as well. I can close buffers with the letter D, and the best thing of all is that I can get a preview of the buffers. So if I bring that up, you'll be able to see Shift-H. Notice here that this is telescope buffers. And if I type here Shift-J, it allows me to scroll this file, which is pretty useful. You can go down or you can go to the right or to the left as well. I have a video in which I explain all of this, and you'll be able to find it here as well. Also, if you like Harpoon, there's another plugin that I installed. It's called Snipe. You'll be able to find it here as well. So I would recommend you to check it out. Telescope, there is an update regarding this. When I hit letter space, I find files with telescope recency. So what does that mean? Telescope recency is just going to keep a record of the files that you open the most. And every time that you open a file, it's going to increase its score. So what do I mean by this? Let me jump to my .files latest directory. I'm gonna hit here, space, and I'm going to type something. I'm gonna type options. You're gonna notice that I have 3 different results because I have 3 different Neovim configs. The file that I open all the time is this one, the one that is showing at the top. If I was not using recency, any of the files could show up at the top, and I don't want that. I want this one to show up at the top because it's the one that I open the most. So that's what recency does, and it's pretty useful. That is the reason why I haven't switched over to FCF Lua yet. So if you want to know more about recency, the video is here. I explain how to install it, how to set it up, so go and check it out. Tree sitter, this hasn't changed at all. I still use this every day. NVim tree sitter context. I've been asked about this plugin several different times. Notice at the very top of the file, if I'm scrolling up or down, I'm in the Markdown plugins section. So that is something that this plugin does. It's just going to show you the headings that you're under at the top of the screen. And this is really useful so you don't get lost. So you remember, oh, okay, I'm in the Markdown plugin section right now. NVim lint. This is a new plugin that I added based on a recommendation on the previous video. The user that recommended this is here. So thank you very much. And what this plugin allows you to do is to globally set a single markdown lint.yaml file instead of doing it on a per working directory basis. You can still add the files in a per working directory basis, and the file in each directory is going to take precedence. Let me show you the plugin configuration real quick. I'm just going to jump to my .files latest right now, and I'm going to search here for nvim lint. Here's the file, and notice that here you specify where the markdown lint.yaml file lives. Let me try to open that file. Just going to search here for markdown lint.yaml. Let me open that real quick, and here it is. All of my files are using this now for the linting rules. If this is not making much sense to you right now, if you don't know what markdown lint CLI2 is, or what markdown lint is, or nvim lint, and you would like to learn a little bit more about it, I would recommend you to check this video out. But it's basically a plugin that allows you to follow markdown standards, and it shows you warnings or linting errors when you are not following a standard. For example, if I duplicate this heading, just gonna hit here YYP. Notice that I have the same heading twice. Just gonna save the file. And notice that markdown lint is telling me that I cannot have a duplicate heading with the same content. So this allows you to keep consistency in your markdown files, and also allows you to follow markdown best practices. So I'm just going to delete this, and the warning is going to disappear. You notice that it's gone. So again, remember that the video for this is shown here. The lazy extra section hasn't changed from the previous video. I still use this markdown extra, and it includes several different plugins. One of them, markdown lint, marksman, which is the one that allows me to link two nodes together. Another extra that I still use is Prettier. I love this. It auto-formats my files in a nice way and allows me to keep consistency. So if you want to learn more about the extras, I would recommend you to watch the previous video as well, because nothing has changed there. Obsidian.nvim, I uninstalled this. I never used it because, as you can see here, I use Marksman. And Marksman already comes as a lazy extra when you install the Markdown lazy extra. And I also format my files with this other plugin, so I don't have a use case for this Obsidian.nvim plugin. If you have use cases or ideas on how it could benefit me, just let me know down in the comments. Okay, so that's it for this year's video. Next year, I'm going to create a follow-up video letting you know the things that changed, which other things didn't change. Let me know what you liked about this video. Let me know what you would like to see different. If you would like me to use a different format or something. If you have any improvements, if you have any tips, just leave everything in the YouTube comments. All right, so I hope this video is useful, and I'll see you in the next one.